Hell yeah.
And welcome to the Smartman Show with Brian and Nate. I am Nate.
I am Brian.
I am Brian.
I am Brian.
I am Brian.
I had to think about it for a second there. Sorry.
Episode 14. Back and ready to find out what was the term?
Yeah.
What stupid taster?
No.
Super taster. That's
super.
What that was.
My wife told me last week that I might be a super taster.
All right, so please like and subscribe to the podcast. Please rate and review the podcast. Give us a good review. Throw some nice comments. Ask questions about what we're talking about, and we'll get a nice conversation flow going to these podcasts. But yes, today on the podcast, I want to talk about your stupid kid taste buds. Not yours specifically, everybody's.
Yeah, everybody has them, man.
It's so funny, especially now working in a fine dining restaurant. Every once in a while, I see a kid that will come in, and their favorite thing is like good steak, oysters, crab legs. Damn. All that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. And you just imagine they were raised to eat that stuff, right? They grew up eating it, and then that's the thing. I don't know, man. I just know my experience and so many people, dumb kid taste buds. You won't eat onions, won't eat this. Onions is the big one for me. I have a lot of other ones, but
sure.
I like talking about this because it's hilarious. It's so stupid.
I mean, look, as a kid, it was about the chicken nuggies, but they had to be shaped like a dinosaur. And it was about the macaroni and cheese, and that also had to have shapes and not just regular noodles because it tastes better.
It's like I want to analyze it as much as I can because, I mean, what did you grow up eating?
I ate whatever my parents cooked. I mean, but there were certain things that I just did not like, and I still don't, and you're probably going to hate me for it, but I don't like chili. I've never been a fan of chili. I don't know why. That's one of the things. That
because we had this, you were surprised I remembered it when we were prepping for this show. And
yeah.
Like, we judged a barbecue contest together, and I want to say we actually got to the barbecue contest where you laid out, I hate barbecue. I've never had barbecue before. And then judge the contest. Oh my God, I like barbecue, but that's crazy. So, I mean, when was the last time you had chili? Do you think you just don't like it?
No, I've had it. I've had it since maturing taste buds. Look, dude, I'm a big guy, so I'm sure people, when they hear me say that I'm a picky eater, won't buy it, but it's true. I am a picky eater.
Well,
you don't get big because you eat everything. You get big because you eat too much of the things you like.
You eat too much of the things you like. Plus, I mean, it's the quality of food.
Yeah. Well, I
grew up eating garbage food, like processed foods, and my mom cooked, and we did cook like home meals, but it was mostly like, so much mac and cheese and all that bullshit. You know.
Yeah, my parents were. We always ate a meat, and always it was usually mashed potatoes, sometimes rice, and then vegetables. But it was. Again, it was that processed chicken. It wasn't like, the healthier chicken you can get nowadays. It was, there was a lot of stuff growing up. My parents made it. I ate it. There were certain things I did not. Chili was one of them. I don't like them. I still don't like leafy vegetables. I like green beans. I like carrots. I like a lot of vegetables. I just don't like leafy ones. And that is where my wife said that.
I don't really know how many people actually like leafy because it's not one of those things. I don't think that many people actually. That's why they put dressing on it, and that's why they put all this stuff on it.
Yeah, but even with all the stuff on it, I don't like it, and I guess that's where the super taster thing comes in. It's an evolutionary thing.
A super taster.
Yeah, so that stuff tastes so much more bitter to me than other people, which is why I don't like it. I had never heard of this until she brought it up to me, but apparently it's evolutionary, and it starts with your ancestors being pickier eaters. And it just kind of spiraled from there.
Like how? I mean, it
started with not wanting to be poisoned, is what she said on the evolutionary thing. And so people who didn't want to be poisoned didn't do that. And then, yeah.
A super taster is an individual with heightened sensitivity to taste, particularly bitter, sweet, salty, and umami. have to look up umami now.
I've never heard of umami, but
They
I
have
like
a
it.
greater number of taste buds and are often extremely sensitive to the bitter taste in foods like cruciferous vegetables. Got to look that word up town. Thanks, AI.
That's the leafy vegetables.
Oh, okay. This heightened sensitivity can lead to strong preferences and aversions, making super tasters prone to being picky eaters.
Put super taster in connection with evolution and see what comes up about it, because I think it'll talk about how it started with like
Super
ancestors
taster
not wanting to be poisoned
caused by evolution.
There you go.
I've been watching a lot of human development documentaries over lately. This is interesting.
Yeah, avoid potentially toxic substances, which is they were picky eaters. So my ancestors were picky little eaters, and evolutionary down the line, that's why I am the way I am.
I mean, that probably is some of it. But again, taste buds change over time.
They do, but
You know what I mean?
I swear to you, that stuff is still really bitter to me.
Because it wasn't a taste thing because I always loved the flavor of onions, but it was the texture I just couldn't get around.
Yeah.
But now...
Wait, are you talking like cooked onion or raw onion? Because some people put raw onion on food and eat it.
I can do raw red onion.
Really?
Yeah. I can do green raw onion, white and yellow raw onions I don't like. I now will cook, because I would never eat French onion soup, even though I love the flavor of it.
Okay.
I love like the dip, French onion, you know.
Where are we at on Funyuns?
I can eat the hell out of Funyuns. You know, Funyuns are something that I discovered I was never the biggest fan of.
Yeah.
Until I started investigating the marijuana.
That was your go-to
now,
munchie?
Yeah. Well, now it is. It's one of them.
Okay.
'Cause I'm just like, man, they're so much better when you're high.
All right. What about onion rings?
Here's the thing. I have not done onion rings since I've gotten into onions. I've thought about it.
Interesting.
I've thought about making them. Because now I cook with onions all the time. A lot of onions.
The thing about onion rings is it's like crunchy on the outside, but then the onion on the inside is soggy as shit.
So
and
the chili thing,
eh.
the chili thing does not make sense with the super taster thing, though. That's not like a bitter food. It is a savory and then spicy sometimes.
No, I think that's just a preference for me. I don't think that's a part. The reason I think I am a super taster is there is a bunch of bitter foods, things that are bitter, that are super bitter to me, and I still can't stand them. But there's also foods I don't like. Sure. And chili, for me, I don't like the smell of it. I don't like the taste of it. And I also don't really like how it looks. I know, dude. It's weird. I'm not a chili dude. I'm just not that guy.
But here's the thing. I think the preference thing is one that we're all capable of getting over, right?
I guess.
There's still a couple things that I won't do.
What won't you do?
Beets.
Okay.
Won't do beets ever.
Wait, did you have an experience? Was there something specific that happened with the beets?
Yeah, actually.
What happened?
Like, I mean, I always hated
why
them.
are you racist against beets? I want to know what happened.
I always hated them. I mean, their redness. How can you not be racist against beets?
Stained your hands.
Yeah. I had always hated them. But then I was in the Army. I was in basic training. And, you know, how you go through the chow hall line and everybody's standing facing, like, the food. And they're all the line is going left to right. You know what I mean? And you're just sidestepping as you're going along. And then when you get to the side dish part of the thing, there's a soldier always serving it who has KP duty. He's on kitchen duty. And then this particular time, my battle buddy, whose last name was Silas, William Silas, I don't remember his name. Anyway, he was the server.
Okay. Did he know you hated beets?
I don't know if he knew before that, but he was going for the beets, and I was like, because you're not supposed to talk in the chow hall.
And you probably have to clean what's on your plate, right?
Yep.
You have to eat it.
Yep. And I just did one of those silent head shakes. I'm like, no, don't do the beets. And I just kind of tried to move along, and he this fucking guy yells.
I can picture it.
This happens for anybody that sees a soldier doing something wrong. They yell, "Violator, violator, violator," and like just to be an asshole.
He called
just
you
because
out.
he thought it was funny.
Oh.
And like, dude, no joke. Like a shark attack of probably 3 or 4 drill sergeants. Like, oh, what? You don't like beets? And then took the spoon and it was like kaboom, kaboom, like two giant spoons of beets. It just covered everything on the plate, and then stood over me, fucking screaming at me and made me eat it all. And I threw up all the beets back up to my room. It was the reddest, grossest fucking vomit that's ever happened. I was like, I wish that was blood because I wish I was dead.
I will never, ever...
Violator!
Ever make you relive that experience again. That is freaking horrible. Oh my God. Like, you have a legit reason to hate Beets because of that alone. Even if you liked Beets prior, to have that happen, I think it could turn you. Like never again.
And it's the only food that I don't want touching my plate. Like, I was an ex-girlfriend, we were eating salads at the table, and she had beets. I'm like, I don't want them. And she took a piece off. She's like, just eat it. She put it on the fucking plate. And I was like, and I think that was one of those genuine times where I just had so much rage. I'm like, don't fucking put the beets on my plate.
Wow, dude. Okay, I got to circle back just for a second because I wasn't in the military like you were. So your boy, your battle buddy, this is a dude who's supposed to have your back.
Yeah, he's a fucking ass. I mean, he's a nice guy. I liked him a lot.
He basically, but he ratted you out to the drill sergeants?
Yeah, violator. And he's like, got back up to the barracks, and he's like,
Are the drill sergeants in on this? Like, they know that y'all are messing with each other when they do it, and they just decide to have fun with it and get on your shit?
Dude, drill sergeants want any excuse. Any excuse that they can possibly have to just fuck with you, they're going to do it.
If there was a job in the military I'd like to do, that would be it.
Dude, there was this one time in the chow hall, and again, nobody's supposed to be talking. I'm sitting down, all soldiers are around me, and you're looking at your food. You're not supposed to be looking at anybody else. And like...
This is only through basic that you're not supposed to communicate?
Yeah. It's just basic.
Okay.
And like just sitting there eating, and there was somebody to my left probably who was talking, and they were being fairly loud. And all of a sudden, I saw at the corner of my eye, this drill sergeant. I didn't know what it was at first. And I see something moving on it. He was fucking low crawling on the floor. He saw him talking from the other end of the room. And he fucking low crawled on the floor through tables and shit and fucking popped up right in front of him. He goes, I got you, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here.
That's terrifying.
And then I think I choked laughing because it was so funny.
Oh, God. Did he turn on you?
Drill sergeants were hilarious. No. Drill sergeants just regular dudes like us. They think shit's fucking hilarious.
God. I bet for drill sergeants, there's like a level of points like that they like a point system game that they play with each other on how to screw with the new recruits the most. You know what I mean? Like that dude,
it's a gift.
That guy crawling up out of nowhere, jumping up. He probably got like 100 points and won the day or whatever.
Dude, that's one memory that I'll never ever it'll never go away. Just popped right up next to me and goes, I got you, motherfucker! Get the fuck out of here! I think that guy had to like run laps around the barracks. Anyway.
Dude, it blows my mind that Bob Ross was a freaking drill sergeant. I can't picture Mr. Soft.
Was he really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not BS like the Fred Rogers was a sniper one.
Yeah, because that's BS.
Yeah, Bob Ross was a military instructor. Air Force. He was one of the
Master Sergeant.
Yeah, so he got to do all the screaming. That's why he said when he got older.
Air Force basic training is way different.
I'm not getting in on that. I know you all get against each other with what's basic training and what's not.
It's all happy in the Air Force. Shut up! It's not even regular basic.
So instead of like Bob Ross. I'm picturing it now. Bob Ross is crawling up on the floor, and he pops up. He's like, I got you and your happy little meatballs.
My cousin Morgan started out in the Air Force. He was a service member in the Air Force, and like whatever Air Force Special Forces are.
Okay.
And he got out and he went into the Army. So he switched branches and then went into some sort of like Special Force or something. I'm not sure, but I remember him telling me, he's like, dude, the Air Force is weak as fuck.
Wow. I'm not, like I said, I want to get involved in that because that seems, I feel like there's a nice rivalry between all branches of military. Sure. Like there's a lot of S talking between like Marines, Navy, Army, Air Force.
That's like, I haven't been to in a couple years, but I would go to the Marine Corps birthday party that they have at Right Brain every year, Right Brain Brewery. And, because all those guys are my friends, 22 to none and everything. But every time I go, I'm just like, oh, God, all these Marines are just, it's just you fucking meatheads.
Where does Space Force come in on these groups now? Like, is that a part of the Air Force? Is it,
I don't know.
I don't know if it's still its own branch.
I think it's a different branch. I actually know somebody in the Space Force. I have not asked them this question.
I just wonder where they fit in with the jarring between the branches, because they're the new branch.
I don't know. I want to love Space Force. I don't know if I love why it was created and who created it necessarily, but
you love space. You're a big space geek.
If they wouldn't have ripped off the Starfleet logo for it, I want there to be a world where there is space travel and humans are cooperative, and that could be that world. I want a Star Trek world, man.
Yeah. No, man, you've always been, as long as I've known you, you've always been fascinated by space and, the creation of what we know as the universe. Like you've always seemed to have some intrigue kind of thinking about it. Like I
think it's incredible. I watch space documentaries all the time. I
That's
love
the
it.
One? Okay.
I love it.
I just found out you can live in space for a few seconds if you don't have a helmet on. Like you don't just instantly die. There's like a few seconds where you're actually alive still.
I don't really know that that's true.
You will live for look it up.
Okay, fine.
Why would I lie? I want to give you a chance to go to space someday and take your helmet off.
Why would I want to take my helmet off?
I don't know. I guess if you were floating away and there was nothing you could do and you were just gonna float forever. Somebody actually Google how long can you survive in space?
Whoa! In space with this is an AI answer that's got to be wrong. In a space, with a spacesuit, not without a spacesuit.
Just say how long if you take your mask or your helmet off.
Would lose consciousness within about 15 seconds due to lack of oxygen.
Bam!
Death would follow within a couple of minutes. I honestly just thought you would just implode. You know what I mean? All right.
Isn't that crazy? For 15 seconds, dude, you have no...
Honestly, though, I think about it all the time, and I don't think it's that weird. I think about the raddest ways to die, if I was jumping, I jumped out of planes, I'm like, that would be kind of a rad way to go,
Full view of Earth, just floating around and take off the helmet?
If I knew I was going to go, and I was in space, dude, that'd be amazing.
It would be kind of cool, especially if you were in Earth's gravitational pull and now you're just like a satellite that, your dead body is just going around in circles.
There's some people that hate that idea, that hate the idea of floating through space for eternity dead. I think that's kind of cool. Dude. I think just the idea of bodies in orbit is hilarious.
That picture, the very famous picture of the astronaut by himself, free walking with nothing around him, and the Earth behind, that terrifies the shit out of me.
I mean, it's
cool.
No.
It's cool. It just terrifies me.
It's terrifying,
dude. The thought of that, what if the little thrusters stop working? You know what I mean? There's so much that can go wrong when you're that far away from any lifeline. It freaked the hell out of me when I saw it.
Have you seen Gravity?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was twisted, man.
I love space, but it is terrifying.
The one shot, I actually, they warn people that you can get sick watching it, and I actually did get sick to my stomach watching the scene where she's in the ship that's out of control and it's spinning like crazy.
Yeah.
That was hard, dude. No, she wasn't a ship. She was in a free, a spin. When she was out of the ship.
A couple different times.
But as soon as that camera started spinning, dude, I was just like, oh, I can't watch this. But yeah, I mean, look, dude, if you're going to die, that is a rad way to go. You know what I mean?
Walk me through exactly how we got from Super Taster to insanity of space.
Well, we went from Super Taster to military, and then we went from military to Space Force, and then Space Force to dying in space.
Bam. Nailed it.
That's skill. You know what that is? That's two dudes with ADD that just can't stick to one subject.
Yeah. Hey, that's the beauty of this podcast. Whatever beauty there is, that's part of it.
I do love that it went that route, though, because we got to learn one of my new favorite stories about you with the Beets and your own boy just throwing you under the bus. And then I'll always have the image that you've now created of this awesome drill sergeant just crawling up on a dude out of nowhere and be like, bam, I got you.
Dude.
That's so awesome. And then, of course, got into Bob Ross a little bit there.
Dude, I bet you I could sit here and tell just insane stories about being in basic training or the Army in general.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was only in it for 3 years in a non-combat area. That's the part where it's, when you talk about like vets in combat, it's a totally different experience because I was not. But in a non-combat enlistment, insane shit happens. You know what I mean? And insane shit happens in a regular deployment or whatever. But
you ended up in South Korea.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure that you have story upon story to tell.
I just looked it up the other day. I was in Camp Greaves, which is on the border of North and South Korea. You could see North Korean flag from my barracks.
Is that where the historic line is, like where the building is right there?
It's right in the DMZ.
Okay.
And they actually, the United States gave that camp back, I would say 15, maybe 20 years ago or so.
Okay.
So it's something. It's run by Koreans now, but it's like a tourist center.
Oh,
it's that my post is like a tourist center, so you can see North Korea.
Oh, that's got to be such a weird experience. Like, I'm not much of a traveler. I don't really enjoy travel. My wife loves to travel. That's her thing. I don't. I know I probably should love to travel, but I don't. If I was going to travel around, it would be to drive around the United States. That's
pretty awesome to see, man. I love to travel, and I'm going to make my life obviously more about travel. But
right. But I mean, to see this like historic spot where you're standing on one side and if you take like one or two steps over, you're getting shot or arrested.
The flag itself is, I don't know exactly how big it is. I think it's like close to a football field wide or long.
Whoa.
Maybe not that big, but there's wire in it, so it will stand out rather than fall down. You know what I mean? So it looks like it's flying in the wind. But there at least used to be a reward, a bounty on like Soldier of Fortune magazine or something like that, where if you could get there and cut a square foot of that flag, it was worth like $1 million or something like that.
Whoa.
I don't know if that was just a rumor. That could have been just a rumor.
Did you ever hear about the stories or ever look up the stories about the guys that defected from the United States military over into North Korea?
I mean, a little bit.
And then they became movie stars there, and they always played the bad guy Americans, and they were married off to women there, and like they lived like movie stars.
I don't know if I ever checked that out. I'm going to have to check that out.
Super intriguing, dude. Like these guys defected. And they were literally used for propaganda films, and they always played the evil American soldiers, and they were put into these movies as actors, and then they were married off with kids.
I don't know how I never heard about that, actually. I probably did on some level.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I know we're going way off the rails here, but I thought I'd throw that out there just because that was something I learned about where you were stationed. I could add to the conversation of military, which I have never been in.
It was a fun experience, I guess, for the most part. I mean, I would never ever do it again.
No.
I don't really recommend it for most people.
I don't like to be yelled at, so I definitely wouldn't do great in the
That was why, because I have way too much problem with authority
and physical fitness. I don't think is my it's not my my best quality. So yeah, between that and getting yelled at, I don't know if I would do well there. Because I think I'm one of those people, if I was being screamed at, it would be hard for me to not laugh, which would only make it worse. And I'm sure eventually the laughing would go away and the terrified...
It would.
That terrified feeling would 100% come in. But I know the first few times...
Like, you've watched Full Metal Jacket, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was Vietnam, so it's not nearly as worse when I was in, even though they still beat the shit out of you on occasion when I was there. But,
do you know
wasn't as bad.
Again, I'm taking us off topic. The obviously iconic scenes from the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. Do you know what a severely underrated drill sergeant scene is? Vince Vaughn in Hacksaw Ridge is phenomenally funny as a drill sergeant.
I think I have a real hard time with so many military movies, especially like I don't really remember his. I remember not being impressed with it, and I don't know why. I can't tell you why.
He's a little more soft-spoken. He didn't scream as much, but...
so many of the just cheesy cliche lines that people will throw out, like maggot or whatever, you know what I mean? If it's just like a standard cliche sort of basic training drill sergeant delivery, I'm like, shut up, next.
His was like, I just remember him talking to Andrew Garfield, and he's like, boy, you're tall. I'm going to call you Cornstalk or something like that. And right when he's done yelling at him, he turns to in the Army, who would his second in command be?
XO.
I don't know. He turns to that guy and he's like, "See that Private Doss doesn't get in front of any stiff breezes," and just like walks off. And it was just so funny how he delivered the line. But Hacksaw Ridge, dude, one of my all-time favorite military movies. And to find out it's true,
yeah,
and this guy pulled 75 to 100 people off a mountain by himself, that is insane.
Yeah. I don't watch many anymore.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine most dudes that have been in the military enjoy watching that type of stuff, especially if you've been active.
Some do. My dad won't watch him anymore. He's a Vietnam vet. He won't watch him anymore. He doesn't want to watch him.
My dad watches every documentary, every war movie. He watches them all, and he actively served in Vietnam like your dad did, and like he loves to watch that stuff. And he's one of the few that I know who do. I don't know. I feel like if you've been in combat, I wouldn't want to relive that over and over again.
No,
it sounds
that's
horrible.
why I'm assuming, and my dad has never really talked about Vietnam, maybe a little bit, but that's his perspective. Like I think I was asking him about watching. I'm like, have you watched Band of Brothers? And he's like, I don't watch that stuff anymore. And I just kind of put it aside. I thought about being like, it's a great. It's not really the same. It's more about men rather than it is about the war, more or less, even though it is about the war.
Yeah.
But I just decided, I'll leave it because, that's his perspective, and I'm not going to argue with him on that. You know?
Yeah, man.
Well, hey, we had some other stuff planned for this thing, but we're just going to kill it right now. All sorts of stuff for the next episode.
What else could we possibly cover? We talked military. We talked about dying in space and that you could live for 15 seconds or be awake for 15 seconds. Without the oxygen, and then eventually die a minute in.
I bet that's
covered
the
it all,
longest 15 seconds. I'm like thinking about the worst ways to die and the raddest ways to die. The worst ways that I can think of are
suffocation and drowning.
Well, drowning is really bad, but I think as soon as you start taking in water and you pass out, it's just a very brief moment of pain and terror.
Fire,
burning alive, is the worst thing I could possibly imagine.
Your best possibility there is to pass out from smoke inhalation before you start burning. That's your best. That's the best possible outcome of that.
Yeah, because we were talking about here in this apartment,
months
in the hallway for the apartment building itself upstairs. The smoke detector, we've talked about this before, is still beep chirping, and I've phoned my landlord several times and be like, "Hey, do you know this smoke detector's chirping?"
You're all gonna die because there's no smoke alarm. And
Ron Record is saying it.
Yeah, so he's like, "What did you say to me? If I jump out the window and break both my ankles, you're my witness that this thing still isn't fixed, so I can sue."
Yeah. I'm not an overly litigious person. I'm not the person, but I mean, if I break both my legs jumping out,
you got to at least pay the medical bills.
But burning alive. But like the rad ways to die, like in space, that'd be the craziest 15 seconds. It's really cold, so you would freeze all the way through probably in 15 seconds.
Can I throw one out there? I always thought a shootout back in the cowboy days would have been a cool way to go out. Like a full-on, Wyatt Earp or whatever style gunfight at the OK Corral, whatever. That just seemed like such a cool way to go.
Yeah, unless you're Bill Paxton going, it didn't go the way I thought it would go, Wyatt.
The hatred you have for Bill Paxton.
I can pull it out at any time. Bam, 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 just like Wyatt Earp.